the science of achievement.
The only person you should learn sales from is Russell Brunson.
What are the step-by-step process? How do I get to that thing?
He'll take complex things and he'll make them very easy to understand.
He's excellent at breaking the complex down to making it extremely simple so that you can execute it. That's his brilliance.
It's an art project, right? There's not a step-by-step. In fact, if you did step-by-step art, it's not actually art. The magic in art is when you create something new. So how do you get that fulfillment? What is the thing you actually want?
He's not only the best marketer alive, in my opinion, he's the best marketer who ever lived.
Entrepreneurship is my art.
Russell's changing the industry, 100%.
ClickFunnels has been art.
He's a marketing genius.
And on a grand scale.
This is how you become good at your art.
And when Russell was on stage, these guys were like shouting out that they love him.
I love you guys too.
I learn something new every single time he speaks.
The single greatest marketer of the 21st century.
The GOAT of the marketing industry.
He's a New York Times best-selling author, collects books.
His ideas have literally shaped, crafted, and molded how we view modern-day marketing.
But also, everything he does is with integrity.
The one, the only.
On your feet and make some noise for Mr. Russell Brunson!
Hey! Oh, man. Thanks, brother.
Hello. I got it. It's going. Oh, man. Thank you, guys. So fun to have in-house audience plus everybody all around the world. So grateful you guys invited me, allowed me to be here with you guys. And I'm excited because hopefully I'll share something a little bit different, a little bit new with you guys. I got here a little earlier today, so I've been watching all the presentations. It's just so much fun to see what you guys are learning, what everyone's talking about. And I come from a little different background, but I look at things a little differently, so I'm hoping to give you guys a gift that I think will help give you more leverage, where you can grow things faster, and it should be a lot of fun. So I'm going to be talking about, it's called one-to-many selling. And this is something I got really good at, because for me, I am very introverted. People never believe me that because they see me on stage doing my thing and they think that I'm very extroverted, but I'm not. And so when I got started trying to figure out how to start a business when I was in college, I was like, I want to start a business, but I don't want to talk to any humans ever. And so I got behind a computer and I started working it, and I thought that's what I was going to do, right? I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to get to know people. I just wanted to work behind a computer and get paid. And that's how I kind of started on this journey. And during that time, actually, I got approached by a friend. I signed up for my first network marketing program. And I remember he told me I needed to call people. And I got so much anxiety and so much fear that I never called my friend back. I was on the product for 5 years because I loved the product, but I didn't dare to call anybody. And I had a lot of fear. And it was the same thing I wasn't good at phone sales. I couldn't pick up the phone. I couldn't do any of those kind of things. I was like, I have to figure out a way that works for me. So a lot of what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is what I kind of developed as an introvert, trying to figure out how do I sell stuff if I don't have the ability, or I'm nervous, or I don't want to speak one-on-one to somebody on a phone or face-to-face. And so that's kind of it'll be my version that's a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to throw some slides. Can we show next slide so I can make sure I know where I'm going on the back there? Again, there's me. I'm an extreme introvert. I remember going to my very first live event ever. There were a bunch of people getting together to talk about marketing and business and everything. And so I flew out to this event. This is some pictures of me back in the day getting started. I was brand new. I was so excited to be there. I was just trying to learn and figure out how this whole world worked, how people were starting businesses, how they were selling things, and trying to figure some things out. And I remember being at this event, and it was a different event than this. It was this is pre 2008, so events were a little bit different back then, where every speaker would come and they would speak and they would sell, and they would speak and they would sell. They call them pitch fest. You guys have probably heard of those before. And I went to this pitch fest, and but I didn't know that's what it was. I went to the event, and I'm sitting there to learn. And I remember the very first speaker got on stage. He spoke for 90 minutes, and at the end, he sold something and told everyone, run to the back of the room if you want to buy my thing. And I had never seen this before. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I see people jumping up and start running to the back of the room. And I started doing the math, because he sold, I think, a $2,000 offer. So I was doing math. I'm like, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I was like, that guy just made $60,000. And I was just like, this is insane, right? Then the next person gets on stage, and he was selling, he did his presentation, he sold a $5,000 offer. And people were in the back, and I'm counting 5, 10, 15, 20, that guy made $100,000. I kept seeing this happen over and over and over again. I was like, I have to figure out how to do this skill. If there's a human being like me who can step on a stage, talk for 90 minutes, and make that kind of money, like I want to learn how to do that. And even if I'm scared to death of talking to people, I have to figure out how to do this. For the AV team in the back, is there a way I can get next slide so I can make sure I'm going the right direction here? That'd be super helpful if possible. Okay. And so I remember thinking after going through that process, I was like, I have to figure out how to learn the skill. Like whatever it takes, I've got to learn how to do it. And so after that I went and I started going to a couple events and things like that. In fact, if I can see my next slide, I know exactly where we're at. Hold on, let me jump ahead here. Okay, sorry. So I went to this event, and I remember afterwards I was like, I got to learn how to do this. And so one of my friends invited me a little while later to come to an event, kind of like this. And he's like, you want to come speak and sell something? So I'm like, okay. So I got there, and I was like, in my head, I was like, I know my product better than anyone. I know how to teach it. I know how to explain it. So I got there to go do the process right. So I go up there, start trying to teach it, try to explain how it works. And I go and I do my pitch at the end, and I'm expecting to see a whole bunch of people run to the back of the room, and guess what happened? Nothing. It was just like crickets. And it was the most painful, scary thing. As an introvert, to be on stage in front of everybody, you sell something, nobody moves, and you're like, this is really bad. Like, I was like, I'm never gonna do this again. And I decided at the point, I'm like, I'm not gonna learn how to do this skill set. It's too painful, it's too scary. But then I went to another event, I saw somebody else do it, and I was like, if people can do this, I've got to figure out how to learn this skill set. And so I started going to more events, started learning it, and I learned that there's a way, when you're speaking one-to-many and you're trying to make sales, there's a way to look at it that's different than like normal one-on-one sales. It's not like one-on-one sales, it's not teaching a whole bunch of stuff, it's structuring things in a way that breaks people's false beliefs so they will buy the thing you're gonna try to buy, the thing that you're trying to sell. So that's kind of my goal, is to walk you through that process. I started doing this for about 10 years. I was going on the roads, doing events, learning how to speak one-to-many. And then when the real estate market crashed and events all crashed back in 2008, I decided to stop going to events, and I jumped on the internet, and I started trying to figure out, how can I replicate this process online? How can I speak one-to-many without having to actually get a room of people together, right? Can I do this? Can I replicate the same thing online? And so we started doing that, had some success, and then a couple years ago, I launched a company called ClickFunnels. Any of you ever heard of ClickFunnels? Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. We launched a company called ClickFunnels, and we were competing against some really big companies. Like, these are two of the competitors we had. One had just raised $38 million, one had $197 million, and I had $0. And I was like, well, how do I build a software company to compete with these guys? And we couldn't hire sales team, couldn't hire salespeople, and I was like, well, I'm gonna create a presentation. And so I went and I created a one-to-many presentation. I got invited to speak at an event. This is the actual screenshot of the event. I go to this event, and I took this presentation I made. I delivered the presentation. At the end of it, I told everyone to go buy a copy of ClickFunnels, and half of the room jumped up and they ran to the back. And I was like, this is crazy. And we watched the whole thing happen, and then when they got done, I was like, okay, I know how to grow this company. I'm gonna do that same presentation over and over and over and over again. So I got back from this event, put up a landing page online, people would register for it, and then I would do the webinar. And I was doing the webinar sometimes once a day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I did it over and over and over again. And from that, we built a company with no funding from any back, no funding, no VCs or any of that, and built a company from zero to last year we passed $1 billion in sales, all by me doing one-to-many presentations. So, kind of fun. I had somebody ask me, they're like, how many salespeople are on your sales team? I was like, it's just me. I don't have a sales team. I just have a presentation. I do it over and over and over again, and people buy. And so that's the skill set I want you guys to learn. Because again, I've done it for software, but I've got people who've come to my world who've done it to sell supplements, to sell physical products, to sell network marketing. Like, it works no matter what it is you're trying to sell. And so my goal is to show you guys some of the skill sets to be able to learn how to do that for whatever it is you're selling as well. After I had that presentation, again, I plugged it into Funnel and it started working. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about, to kind of kick this off, the 3 levels of selling. Oh, good, they're giving me my next slide now. So much easier. Thank you, team in the back. Okay, so there's 3 levels of selling. The first level of selling is what we talked about earlier. This is what you guys have been doing a lot of over the last couple of days, is one-on-one selling. How many of you guys are really, really good at one-on-one selling? Okay, everyone in the studio audience is. How about home? If you guys are good at one-on-one selling at home, raise your hand. Okay, this one I think is the hardest and the scariest, okay? This is where basically, again, you're talking to someone face-to-face, you're on the phone with them, whatever it might be. I have some clients who've gone through my process before in the past, and one of them, her name is Jamie Cross. This is Jamie right here. And Jamie, she created these natural soaps, and to launch her business, she started selling one-on-one. And so she would go door to door to different businesses, knock on the door, and try to sell her soaps. And she did that for about a year or so. And then she started going to farmers markets. She did the farmers markets. And from there, she would go and do the same presentation, selling one to like little small groups, and made some more money. But she was kind of struck because just there's not much leverage in doing one-on-one, right? It's like one sell, another sell, another sell. These are some of my friends, Brad and Ryan. They are financial planners, okay? And typical financial planning businesses are built like this, right? In someone's home. You go to their home, you look at their finances, you sell them your policies, right? And so that was their business, how they built their entire company doing one-on-one. And they did very well. They're like the top 1% of all financial planners doing one-on-one sales just like this, right? So that's one-on-one selling, okay? The next level after one-on-one selling is moving up to what we call one-to-many selling, okay? And one-to-many selling is similar to one-on-one, but instead of just talking one-on-one face-to-face, we're gathering a bunch of people together, and there's one time I'm talking, and then I'm speaking to many people, okay? This is a screenshot of me. I had a chance to speak at an event that had 9,000 people at it. And I had a chance to do a presentation, and this was a couple of years ago, and I'm gonna show you, I'll walk you through what it looked like. So I had a chance to speak at this event. I spoke for 90 minutes. At the end of the 90 minutes, I had a chance to make an offer for $2,997. Again, there were 9,000 people in the room, and from that, I made the offer, and there was this huge table rush, and from that, 1,079 people went and bought the $3,000 offer. It was in Mandalay Bay here in Vegas. You guys been to Mandalay Bay? It was so big. After I did the sell, I was like, and it was crazy about this is when I went to the event, I was like, who here knows who Russell Brunson is? And like 8 people's hands went up. I'm like, this is amazing. So no one knew who I was. I was the least famous person at the event. They had all sorts of celebrities, like Damon John was there, and all these like famous, like actual celebrities were there. And I'm the no-name person nobody knows. So when I did my offer, I was like, hey, for any of you guys who buy, what I'll do is I'll go get a picture with you guys by the hot dog stand on level 2, exit 3, whatever, right? And so I was like, I'm like, who's gonna wanna get a picture with me? It's probably not many people, but I'm gonna make the offer. So I'm like, if you sign up, then go up there and we'll get pictures with me. So I get off stage, and I don't know if people are buying or not buying. It's just all sorts of noise and chaos and everything. And so my team grabs me, they walk me over to the hot dog stand, and we had this little like photo booth set up with like one of those walls behind it, and people start lining up, okay? What's crazy is the line wrapped around the entire Mandalay Bay 3 times for people to buy. While Damon John, an actual celebrity, was on stage, everybody else was waiting in line to get a picture with me, who nobody knew who I was, okay? That's the power we're talking about. And I actually have
hey, my name is Russell Brunson, and February 23rd of this year,
I have a quick video clip of the table rush. Who wants to see what the table rush looked like? I tell people, it's like, no way. I'm like, you gotta see this, it's insane. So this is what the table rush actually looked like.
Hey, my name is Russell Brunson, and February 23rd of this year, something special happened. Grant Cardone put on an event called 10X Growth Con. It was about how to 10X your company in the next 12 months. And I was invited to speak about ClickFunnels and then make an offer to the audience selling ClickFunnels as well as a training package. And as I stepped on stage the very first time, I looked at over 9,000 amazing people. And over the next 90 minutes, I gave a presentation where every second was scripted and choreographed with one goal, which was to get people to stand up and to run to sign up for ClickFunnels. The goal was $3 million in sales, and we ended up doing over $3.2 million in that 90-minute window.
Russell Brunson spoke to 9,000 people. 1 out of 9 people purchased his product.
The reason why I've come has been him right now.
You know, he's the best in the world at what he does.
Actually, I had to act right away.
I drank the Kool-Aid, I'm swimming in it.
If you don't get this program, you're crazy.
Very evident. Look at that crowd.
I stood there for 4 hours taking pictures with people. It was insane. It was really cool. We actually set it was a world record. It's the most sales that happened in the shortest period of time from stage. I keep hoping that someone's gonna break it someday because I need a competition. So if one of you guys wanna break that, then we'll start going and it makes it way more fun. But as cool as that is, I wanted to share that because I want you guys to understand something. If you get this, I think it'll shift everything for you, okay? I was thinking about this, like if I was to go and try to do this one-on-one, right? There's 9,000 people in the room. If I was like, hey, I'm gonna talk to these people, I gotta give them my presentation on my product, my opportunity, and why it's so important, right? It would take 90 minutes to explain to one person and then the next person. If I lined them up in a huge line, I was like, how long would it actually taken me to have that conversation with 9,000 people, okay? It's 8,110 minutes. Okay, if I was working 40 hours a week, it would have taken me 6.49 years to line them up and get the same presentation to the first person, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. Yet for a lot of you guys, that's what you're doing. You're doing presentation after presentation after presentation, right? I spent 90 minutes, I had 810,000 minutes worth of impact, worth of getting my message out there, okay? This is why I love one-to-many. Like, that's why one-on-one always kind of scares me, like, let's at least get 3 people, or 5 people, or 10, or 20, or 100, or 1,000, because it's like, you do the work once, and it happens over and over and over and over again, okay? And that's like the big aha I want you guys to have from one-to-many. It's just like, one-on-one is such a powerful skill set, but if you can master one-to-many, it unlocks the ability to scale and have leverage that you've never been able to experience before, okay? Okay, now I want you guys to understand this is a learnable skill, okay? And the reason why I want you guys to understand, a lot of times people are on stage like, oh, that person's a professional, they've been doing this their whole life, they're really, really good at that. But I want you to understand that this is a learnable skill that anybody can do. In fact, I actually happen to have a video clip of the very first time I ever spoke on stage, okay? How many of you guys want to see what I look like the very first time? Okay, so it was my very first time getting invited to an event. This is what it looks like, and again, I thought you had to wear a tie. As a business person, I wear a tie, and I'm shy and awkward. And this is my skill set when I started this 20 years ago. So this is what it looked like.
But what I wanted to talk about tonight is kind of a broad overview, hopefully help you to get better information out of the whole internet marketing business. This is a lot bigger group than I had planned on.
Okay, so that's me when I first got started. How many of you guys are already better than me right now? You can tell, you can admit it. Okay, you guys know you are. All right, and then the next day I had a chance to actually sell at that event. They wanted me to sell something. So how many of you guys want to see the very first time I sold an offer? Okay, you're gonna be pretty impressed with this. Check this out.
Okay, am I getting close on time? If you do join the affiliate bootcamp, it'll give you lifelong training. It's a $47 a month value. You'll get it for free. Who would like a piece of that? Here's my irresistible offer. And hopefully you guys learned a lot from this presentation.
Give him a standing ovation. He did a great job.
Give him a standing ovation, and nobody stands up at all. And you see my clothes? It was pretty good clothes, right? Like, who wants a piece of that? You guys should try that next time you sell something and see if it works. My kids saw that, and then they're always like, every time they say something, hey, Dad, you want a piece of that? I'm like, you're so mean to me all the time. Anyway, so I want to show you, because I want to show you, like, I did not have the skill set of public speaking. I didn't know how to do it, how to figure it out, and I went from that guy who was scared to death, made 0 sales, to within a couple of years set the world records doing $3.2 million in sales in 90 minutes. Like, this is a learnable skill set that every single one of you guys can do. I think it's easier than one-on-one sales, and if you're selling one-on-one right now, this is like an amazing thing. But it's different, because I'm speaking one-on-one to somebody. I can ask you a question, find out what your concern is. I can shift the way I'm speaking about it. When I'm speaking to all of you at one time, 100 people or 1,000 people, I don't know what everyone's concerns are. So the way I structure things is different. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. Because you understand that, it'll change everything for you. Okay? All right, I want you to understand one last piece before we dive into this. Getting rich is about leverage and speed. Okay? When you understand that, it unlocks everything. How many of you guys know who Myron Golden is? He's got a huge YouTube channel. I'm one of his biggest fans in the world. I did a podcast interview with him about this, and he dropped this line about speed and about money and about leverage. I thought it was really powerful. It's like 30 seconds long, but I'm gonna have Myron drop some bombs on you real quick. So check this out.
But we talked about the difference of getting rich quick and getting rich slow.
Right. So it starts with the question. If you make $1 million, are you rich? And the people who are watching on YouTube right now, you can just answer that question in the chat, like in the comments. If you make $1 million, are you rich? That's a good question. And some people would say yes, other people would say no. I would say it depends. How long did it take you to make it? Because if you make $25,000 a year and you work for 40 years, you've made $1 million. Are you rich? No. What if you make the same $1 million in 1 year? Yes, but it's the same amount of money. So it's not the amount of money that makes you rich or poor, it's how fast or slow you make it. Wealth denotes speed. So my philosophy is this: either get rich quick or you'll stay broke for the rest of your life.
Ooh, like that? Money denotes speed. When he said that, I was just like, oh my gosh, like that's the key. That's the way you look at leverage points, right? The faster you can speed up the process of signing people up, the more success you can have, right? That's why Eric, when he brought me out, he's like, man, can you imagine a presentation closing 20 people at once versus spending the next 20 days trying to talk to enough people to do that, right? So anyway, those are the thoughts of what you guys are thinking about before we kind of jump into this. So 3 levels of selling. Number 1 is one-on-one selling. Number 2 is one-to-many selling. And there's one that actually trumps one-to-many selling, Won't go too deep into tonight. This is what I'm mostly known for in most situations. Is number 3 is called sales funnels. This is where you take a one-to-many presentation and you plug it into something that's automated, so then it takes you out of the case as well. Because this is pretty insane, right? Speaking for 9,000 people, selling $3.2 million in sales is insane. But the reality is, this is rare. I don't get a chance to speak in front of this many people very often. If I did, it would be amazing. If you could line up events like this, I did day after day after day, I would be the richest man in the world. But it's rare that somebody can fill a room like that. It's rare that you get invited, you know. And so you look at that, it's like, well, that was a once in a lifetime thing. But this is what's crazy. I took the presentation that I did at this event, I have a video of it, I put it inside of a sales funnel where someone registers to watch the presentation, then they watch a video of the presentation, and last month we had over 42,000 people who registered and watched that webinar. So this presentation, as much as $3.2 million in 90 minutes sounds great, it's maybe about 10 times that on autoplay, and I'm not even there. I'm here with you guys, I'm with my kids, I'm goofing off, and people are registering, clicking the thing, watching the presentation, buying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and have been now for 6 years. Okay? So that's the third level of selling. We won't go too deep into that, but for you guys to think about, like, that's the goal to try to get to. Master one-on-one selling, then master one-to-many. Then how do we take those presentations and plug them into something that you can separate yourself, and now you have complete time freedom, complete leverage. All you gotta do is get more people to go and watch the presentation, and then it just keeps selling for you. Okay, that one funnel, like I said, it replaced 60 full-time sales guys. We launched ClickFunnels. Oh, Ty Lopez was interviewing me. He's like, how many sales guys work at ClickFunnels? And I was like, it's just me. There's only one. I taught the same process to my friend Jamie, who was selling the soaps door to door, and then she was selling them after selling door to door, and then she eventually started selling at the farmer's market. She took the presentation she was doing at the farmer's market, put it online, and launched it in the funnel, and boom, that's what her funnel looks like. You register, you watch the presentation, you buy the thing, and in 8 months of her launching her webinar, she won an award we have called the 2 Comma Club. So 2 commas worth of her soaps inside of a funnel where she wasn't even involved in selling. From a presentation she recorded months earlier. Kind of cool. Brad and Ryan, my friends that are financial planners, doing one-on-one, sitting kitchen tables forever. They learned this process, and you can see right here on the screenshot, this is a webinar they did. They had 1,212 people registered. They did a presentation, same thing they did at a kitchen table, but they had 1,200 people in front of them. Imagine that leverage. Like, how many people think they signed up that day? It's insane when you start thinking about it. When you start understanding these pieces, that's how you start growing and scaling really quickly, and actually ends up taking less time than more time, which is pretty cool. Okay, so the goal of every single sales funnel, though, is just one thing. The goal of every single sales funnel is just to get somebody to watch the presentation so then you can make them your offer. And so for the rest of today, I just want to focus primarily on really mastering the presentation, getting that piece of it right, okay? And you can use sales funnels to sell anything, info products, coaching programs, physical products, network marketing products. You can sell the supplements, you can sell opportunities, you can use sales funnels to sell everything. Okay, now that we've got the foundation in place, how many of you guys are excited about one-to-many selling? Yeah? Okay, now I'm gonna teach you guys some stuff that's gonna help you to understand how you do one-to-many selling, because it's different than one-on-one selling, okay? So if you're the greatest one-on-one salesperson in the world, you're probably gonna bomb when you try to do one-to-many selling, because you're gonna think it's the same thing, and it's not, it's different, okay? Some of the things you've been doing will be useful over there, but it's a completely different way to look at how you make a presentation, how you get somebody to actually move, okay? So the first paradigm shift you have to understand is the only thing keeping you from success in any part of your life is your brain, okay? So I'm gonna talk about brains for a little bit, because if you understand how your brain works, then you understand how your audience's brain works when we're doing one-to-many selling, okay? And this is gonna be a simple Russell-fied version. I got friends who are like big brain doctors. Like Andrew Huberman came to my house and he was talking about brain stuff. I was like, this guy is so smart. Okay, this is not that version. This is the simplified Russell version to make it make more sense, okay? So I actually brought a bunch of, I have 5 kids. I teach through props and animals. So I brought some stuffed animals with me on the plane today to share with you guys to help you guys understand how your brain works, okay? So inside of our brain, we're talking about 3 things: subconscious, conscious, and your primitive minds. And we're gonna demonstrate with some animals to make this make more sense, make it more fun. But I'm showing you guys this for 2 reasons, okay? So I'm gonna talk about, for the first half of this here, helping understand how your brain's gonna work, okay? But the reason why I'm doing that is because number 1, it's gonna help you understand yourself a little better, but number 2, when you understand how the brain works, when I'm creating a presentation, it's the key that unlocks everything else you're gonna need to know, okay? So first you might be like, what does that have to do with selling? This is like a Mr. Miyagi thing. You guys remember, like, wax on, wax off. I'm gonna explain this, and you're like, this has nothing to do with selling. And then I'll be like, this is how it works for selling, and then it should hopefully make it all tie together. Sound good? Okay. All right, so we'll talk about these 3 parts of your brain. First thing we'll talk about is your conscious mind, okay? Now for me, when I think about the conscious mind, I've got some friends here that are gonna explain a little better. The first time I taught this, we do an event for young entrepreneurs. And I was trying to explain to these kids like how their brains work and how sales works and everything. And that's where I kind of came up with this analogy. And the kids got it for the first time, and all of a sudden the parents started getting it, and it made more sense. So the conscious mind it's basically based on two monkeys. We all have two monkeys, okay? One of these monkeys is emotion and one is logic. In fact, I think this one looks more logical, don't you think? This looks more like emotion. Okay, every single one of you guys, you have this inside your head, okay? You all have this. In fact, Buddha called the conscious mind the monkey mind. It's like two monkeys just chattering all day long, okay? And it was fun when I did the kids event. I was trying to show this to the kids, and so I did a demonstration. I brought them monkeys out, and I brought out a box of Twinkies. And I said, who here wants some Twinkies? And all the kids' hands start going crazy. So I walked over, and I found this one kid. She was so cool. I was like, do you want a Twinkie? And her emotional monkey's like, yeah, I want a Twinkie. And she was freaking out, so excited. And I asked her mom, I was like, do you want a Twinkie? And she was like, well, I would, but it's high in calories, and it's got the fat and the high fructose corn syrup. And she was fighting back and forth. I was like, how interesting. I'm like, for the daughter, the emotional monkey was stronger. For the mom, the logical monkey was stronger. I started thinking about this, like every single day in every conversation, we have this thing happening. And for each of you guys, you both have emotional logic every single day that's chattering back and forth, but one of them is probably more stronger for you than the other ones, okay? You see a decision, you're like, oh, and most like, oh, I want that really, really bad. I want the Twinkie, I want the thing. And you're like, you can't have that because you're gonna get fat, but it'll be really, really good, and you go back and forth and you battle, okay? You guys have this experience? Okay? How many of you guys are my emotional monkeys? You make most of your decisions emotionally. You get excited, you're like, I'm 100% in, let's go. Emotional monkeys, where you at? All right. How many of you are more logical? I'm logical. I need all the facts to be able to sign people. Okay. Okay, so you got emotional logic. The reality is you have both these happening every single day inside your head over and over and over again. Okay? How many of you guys have ever been to the Cheesecake Factory? You guys been there? I love the Cheesecake Factory, and I hate it. And the reason why is you open it up and you look at the left-hand side of the menu, and your emotional monkey's like, yes, I want that, and you're freaking out about everything, right? And then the right side of the menu shows you how many calories. And so you're like, yes, I want a triple chocolate cheesecake with strawberries and blah, 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 and you're like all excited. And you're like, 8,000 calories for one piece of cheesecake? Like, that's like 3.5 days worth of calories. Like, but it'll be so good, but no. And that's the debate that happens all day, every single day, okay? So this debate is happening in your brains all day long, every day. It's emotion and it's logic, okay? Now, this is our conscious mind. And what's cool about our conscious mind is a couple things. Number one is our conscious mind always speaks in questions. So you know what's coming from your conscious mind for like, should I go that? Should I buy that? Should we do this? Should we do, like, I don't know if this makes sense or this makes sense. And when you're doing that, it's usually emotional logic fighting back and forth in questions. Back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's how you know it's your conscious mind, okay? The conscious mind speaks in questions. Now, the best thing about the conscious mind, it's my favorite thing. The conscious mind is the thing that gives you the ability to choose the thing that you actually want. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do today, right? You're consciously choosing what you're going to do. You guys all consciously chose to be here today. You guys consciously chose to stream in around the world, wherever you're at. You constantly chose that, right? And that's the best part about a conscious mind, is it's the ability to actually choose, okay? Now, Napoleon Hill's one of my favorite authors. He said something really powerful, and he talked about having a definite purpose. He said, there's one quality which one must possess to win, and that's the definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it, right? So our conscious mind is the thing that gives us a definite purpose. Like, I want to do that. I want to figure out how to do that thing, okay? For me, like when I was younger, I was a wrestler growing up, and I remember like I didn't have a definite purpose. I went to wrestling practice, I kind of did it, but it wasn't like that exciting for me until at the end of the year, my dad took me to the state tournament. And I was at the state tournament, and there was this kid on my team named Matt Woods, and he made it to the finals. I remember I watched this guy who I knew on my team in the finals, and he wins the match, and he gets his hand raised by the ref. And I see his hand get raised, and I was like, I want that. That's the thing I want to figure out how to do. I consciously chose, I'm going to figure out how to be a state champ. That's all I could think about. It became my conscious choice, right? And then after I had that choice, that direction, then everything else changed. Most people in life are just moving around in circles, just kind of bumping around, right? It's not until you choose something, you pick a definite purpose, like I want that thing, that everything changes for you, okay? That's what Napoleon Hill's talking here. So what is your definite goal? What is your plan? Okay, when you have a direction, then everything else starts lining up, and that's what our conscious mind does, is let us choose a direction to move in, okay? How many of you guys know who Earl Nightingale is? A couple of people? Okay, I'm a huge Earl Nightingale fan. In fact, recently I just bought his entire estate from his widow. So this is the gold record he got for The Strangest Secret, which is one of the coolest things in the world. So I'm gonna tell you guys a really quick story about Earl Nightingale for those who don't know him. So Earl Nightingale was the voice of personal development in like the 50s and the 60s. He was on the radio waves every single day. And he was always talking about personal development, how to change your life, all sorts of stuff. And then one day he wanted to take a vacation for like 3 months. And so he decided to leave, and when he was leaving, he told his assistant, like, hey, just, you're kind of in charge. He was a radio host, but he also owned an insurance company. He had like 12 salespeople that worked for him. And so he's leaving, and his assistant's like, well, before you leave, you'll be gone for 3 months. Can you record something I can give to the salespeople to motivate them and train them every single day? And he's like, sure. So he sat down that day, and he wrote out a script, and he recorded himself speaking the script, and then he recorded it on a record, gave it to his assistant, and he jumps in a boat and leaves for 3 months. His assistant takes this record, and she burns like 10 copies for all the salespeople, and she plays it for the sales meeting, and she's like, there you go, it's a gift from Earl. Listen to this every single day. And the people are like, this is insane. This is so good. And so then they started showing people, and like, listen to this record. So they had friends who would listen to it, and they would call into the assistant, like, do you have any more copies of the record? Like, I want one too. It's like, oh, okay. So she burned some more, and she sent it back out. And then those people let other people listen, and then it kept happening over and over again. And then someone that worked at Earl's radio station found a copy of it. She put it on and played it over the airwaves, and then it went crazy. Then everyone's calling in, like, how do I get a copy of that record? I want to find it. And the record was called The Strangest Secret. Okay, so Earl's gone for 3 months in a boat, on vacation, has no idea anything's happening. His assistant basically shuts down the insurance agencies. The whole team is just printing records and shipping them out all across the country. When Earl gets back 3 months later, gets off the docks, he shows up at the docks, and there's all these people, like reporters and newspapers and everything, and he thought he was under arrest for something. He shows up, he's like, am I in trouble? And the head of the boat dock was like, you should call your assistant and find out. So he calls his assistant, and she's like in tears, like thinking she's getting in trouble. She's like, this is what happened. I don't know what to, like, all stressed out. And anyway, Earl's like, well, don't move. I'll be there soon. So he gets to the office. And what's crazy is when Earl left on that 3-month boat trip, he was just a normal guy, a normal job, making a little bit of money, not that much. He landed, he was a millionaire. That record was the first ever spoken word record to go gold and then platinum. And so that's the record of hit actually going gold platinum on Sony or whatever records it was. And so that's The Strangest Secret. Any of you guys ever heard The Strangest Secret before? Okay, amazing. You guys have. I'm going to show you guys 2 clips from Strangest Secret because it's just so powerful. And the first one's about our conscious mind, about us choosing a direction, okay? And this is why choosing a direction is so important, okay? So this is from the man himself, Mr. Earl Nightingale.
Have you ever wondered why so many men work so hard and honestly without ever achieving anything in particular, and others don't seem to work hard and yet seem to get everything? They seem to have the magic touch. You've heard them say that about someone. Everything he touches turns to gold. And have you ever noticed that a man who becomes successful tends to continue to become successful? And on the other hand, have you noticed how a man who's a failure tends to continue to fail? Well, it's because of goals. Some of us have goals, some don't. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going. It's that simple. Think of a ship leaving a harbor, and think of it with the complete voyage mapped out and planned. The captain and crew know exactly where it's going and how long it'll take. It has a definite goal. Now, 9,999 times out of 10,000, it will get to where it started out to get. Now let's take another ship, just like the first, only let's not put a crew on it or a captain at the helm. Let's give it no aiming point, no goal, no destination. We just start the engines and let it go. I think you'll agree with me that if it gets out of the harbor at all, it will either sink or wind up on some deserted beach, a derelict. It can't go anyplace because it has no destination and no guidance, and it's the same with a human being. Now let's get back to the strangest secret in the world, the story that I wanted to tell you today. Why do men with goals succeed in life and men without them fail? Well, let me tell you something which, if you really understand it, will alter your life immediately. If you understand completely what I'm going to tell you from this moment on, your life will never be the same again. You will suddenly find that good luck just seems to be attracted to you. The things you want just seem to fall in line, and from now on you won't have the problems, the worries, the gnawing lump of anxiety that perhaps you've experienced before. Doubt, fear, well, they'll be things of the past. Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now, let me say that again. We become what we think about. Throughout all history, the great wise men and teachers, philosophers and prophets have disagreed with one another on many different things. It's only on this one point that they are in complete and unanimous agreement. Listen to what Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, said. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Disraeli said this. Everything comes if a man will only wait. I've brought myself by long meditation to the conviction that a human being with a settled purpose must accomplish it, and that nothing can resist a will that will stake even existence for its fulfillment. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." William James said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." And he also said, "We need only in cold blood act as if the thing in question were real, and it will become infallibly real by growing into such a connection with our life that it will become real. It will become so knit with habit and emotion that our interest in it will be those which characterize belief."
Okay, so that is the first step. That's what our conscious mind does. These monkeys, they choose goals, they choose dreams, things they want to do, right? How many of you guys have ever had a goal where you're like, I want to make $100,000, $1 million, I want to recruit 20 people emotionally, you're like, this is going to be amazing. But your logical mind's like, how are we going to do that? And then it fights back and forth, right? Okay, it happens all day, every single day. But understanding like this is the thing that's happening in our conscious mind, its ability to choose the direction that we're going in initially, okay? So the question for you is then, what is it you actually want? What's the thing that you're working towards, okay? What's the thing that you want when you pick that direction, pick a definite purpose, it starts shifting everything for you, okay? All right, so that's the conscious mind. Number two, we're gonna step over to the subconscious mind. Okay, now subconscious mind, in my analogy, is actually this elephant here, okay? Now what's interesting is that all of us think that these monkeys are actually in charge, okay? Now the monkey chooses the direction initially, but it's not the thing that's actually in charge. This is the reason why you can set a goal. I want to lose 50 pounds, I want to make $1 million, whatever your goal is, and somehow you self-sabotage yourself and don't get it. How many of you have ever done it before? You set a goal, you want to do it, and then somehow it doesn't happen, okay? Because the monkeys are not actually in charge, even though they think they are, okay? The thing that's in charge is your subconscious mind, which is represented by this elephant here, okay? So the elephant is basically, when you learn about subconscious mind, it's like one of the most fascinating, cool things in the world. But what happens is over time, subconscious mind is like, it's, Napoleon Hill calls it hypnotic rhythm, which I had that there. He calls it hypnotic rhythm, I think is a cool explanation for it, right? It's like we get in this rhythms and things start happening over and over and over again. You know, probably some of the easiest ways to explain this, you think about when you're a kid, the very first time you had to tie a shoe, you consciously decided, I'm gonna learn how to tie a shoe, right? And you go and you're like, your mom or dad's like, okay, first you make a hoop and then a swoop and then you swirl and you do it. And you're like, okay, how do I do it consciously? I'm gonna do that first step one, step two, and you do it the first time, and the second time, and the third time, and eventually you do it over and over and over again. Your subconscious is like, I know how to do this, it's a pattern, I do it over and over again. And now, how many of you guys thought about how to tie your shoe this morning? Nobody, right? Same thing when you're in the shower. You've ever noticed, actually, you're all gonna notice this tomorrow morning. When you're in the shower, you get out of the shower, and when you're done, you will grab the towel, and you will go through some process that doesn't make any sense, and then you'll be dry. When you start thinking about it, you'll stop tomorrow and be like, what do I do? Like, oh my gosh, every single day I do the exact same thing. I go here first, I do this arm, then this arm, and like, you'll dry the same way because 40 years ago, you figured out how to dry yourself and it worked, and then your subconscious mind figured it out, and it just happens automatically now. Okay, same thing, I moved to a new office a couple years ago. I remember first I'm driving there consciously. How do I get to the office? Trying to figure out how I'm going. My monkeys are arguing back and forth about how to get there. I did it the first time, the second time, and eventually now I jump in my car and I'm just there, right? It's because your subconscious mind is taking over. It's the thing that actually is the thing that drives everything throughout your life, okay? I think about it like this, like ruts, okay? If you think about a tractor, initially, your conscious mind's like, I want to go this direction. So you go that way the first time, the second time, you keep doing it. Eventually, it starts getting these huge ruts that get deeper and deeper and deeper, right? And eventually, you get in the tractor, you turn the key on, you jump out, and it just takes care of itself. It's just going to stay in the ruts and not move, right? And so that's what's happening inside your subconscious mind. Now, sometimes that's really good. How many of you guys have really good patterns and habits in your life that just like have made you amazing at part of your life? Okay? You're really good at fitness or health or you know, relationships, or you're good at something. It's because you develop really good patterns. But how many of you guys are also at the same time really good at this and you are a nightmare in some other area of your life? Okay? We all are, you know. And so what's interesting is like these ruts, these patterns are there and they're happening, but these are the things that actually are directing and driving our life. Okay? Because we may decide, hey, I want to make $1 million today, but then if you start on that goal and that process, but if you're like, man, my whole life I've been told that it's not possible, making money's hard, okay? It's very easy to snap back in the ruts, and that's where you actually end up. That's the destination you end up in, okay? How many of you guys are athletes in the room? Do we have any athletes in here? Okay, I was a wrestler growing up, and still am, I still compete. But wrestling and sports, they call this muscle memory, right? Where you go and you practice something over and over and over and over and over again, right? I go to practice and we drill the same move 1,000 times. And what's crazy is if I'm in a wrestling tournament and I'm wrestling someone, I'm not thinking about the moves, right? Things are happening and they're moving so fast, like all of a sudden, like your body's just shooting. It's moving, like all the things are happening because you've done it so many times. It's because you're training your muscle memory over and over and over your subconscious mind. So when things happen, they just show up, okay? This is called, scientists call this the default mode network, okay? This is like where you default to, okay? And so sometimes it's very positive, sometimes it's very, very negative. Now, this is a really quick video I want to share with you guys. It's kind of hard initially to figure out, like, what is my default mode network? What is my subconscious pattern? What are the things that are happening I'm not even aware of? A lot of times you see the end result of it, either positive or negative, but how do we actually know those things are happening? And I'm going to show you guys a really quick video clip from one of my events where we were talking about this, about success and like what holds you back. And like your body actually, your body stores these subconscious beliefs. And so it's the reason why if you set a goal sometimes about I want to do this thing, and you're thinking about it, but then like you feel sick to your stomach or something's not working, you feel uneasy about it. It's because those things, those patterns are inside your body. And so I'm gonna show you guys this really cool clip that'll hopefully kind of explain that and help you see that these subconscious beliefs are in there every single day, and they're the things that are sabotaging you if you're not actually able to hit your goals. Okay, so check this out. Almost every other book I've read, Think and Grow Rich and all the other ones, talk so much about like you think and you change, you think and you change. When Elsie starts, book number 1 was not about thinking. In fact, she says thinking is not the thing that will change anything. She's like, what changes things is your moods or your feelings or your state, which is really fascinating. And I read booklet number 1 2 or 3 times, and then I had a call with Annie Grace for the book club, and we got deeper on it. And what was interesting, like the thing I got was like in any situation, like there's a feeling you have about it, right? And so I started thinking about all the things. In fact, I like wrote down everyone in my family, like my kids, my wife. And I was like, what's the feeling associated? And I think about my wife, I think about one thing. I think about one of my kids, another kid. Like I think about Nora differently than Bowen or 8. Like they're all different. But I was like feeling like interesting. I feel something different for each of them. And I started thinking about circumstances like going to the office, going back home, going to the library, going like, what are the feelings I feel when I go to wrestling, when I go to the gym? And like, I was like constantly trying to notice like, what are the actual feelings or moods, or what Tony Robbins would call state? Like, what's the state I feel when I think about the thing? And anyway, if you listen to the interview with Annie, she was dropping Annie's stats, which were really cool. One of them was like, she said, is Annie in the room by chance? Oh crap, she can fact check me. What did you say? You said 7 seconds before the feeling comes, your subconscious mind, is that what it was? Okay, yeah, you have the feeling 7 seconds before the thought. So like, before I'm thinking about money, I'm automatically like, the feeling's coming 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm thinking about money, boom, and it's already there, like it showed up. And so your question about like money, like how do you overcome money beliefs, like that's it. It's like, how do you feel about money? Let's see this, let's find out where he's stuck at right now. Give him a round of applause.
Okay, let's check. All right. Okay, so the principle here is, what Russell's saying is that feeling comes first, so it's stuck in the body. And your body can't lie. So this is gonna be fun. So let's do it. All right. Hold strong, don't let me push. Okay. Hold, good. All right. I want you to think about making, is it 2 million this next one? 3?
What's that?
What's the next one?
So we're doing 2 this year.
So you wanna do 3?
No, I'd like to do
10?
5 million next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So think about making 5 million. Just think about it.
Okay.
Hold strong, hold. Okay, so even just the thought of it right there, his body is giving a little bit of weakness. So we could do different things like, I'm worthy of keeping 5 million. Hold. Way weaker. So I'm capable of making 5 million. Hold. It's actually super strong. Hold. So his body's like, I'm capable, but somewhere saying, oh, not worthy.
Okay. Isn't that interesting? Think about this. How many times do you go and you choose a direction? Like, I want to do this thing. I want to set this goal. I want to make this money. I want to buy this thing. I want to lose the weight, whatever it is, right? And you think about it, but then like said Annie, as soon as you start thinking about 7 seconds before you have a conscious thought about I want to do this thing, the feeling's already showing up, okay? And you have that feeling. And the feeling might be, I'm not worthy. You can't do that, right? Those are the feelings. Those feelings are things that have been built into our subconscious mind over and over and over and over again. It's interesting. The reason why I think most people struggle with entrepreneurship is think about every movie you've watched since you were a little kid. Who is always the villain? Is it weird? It's always the billionaire. The rich billionaire is always the bad guy. And so we've been brainwashed for decades and decades and decades that like, if you can make money, you're gonna be a bad person. I was watching The Lorax with my kids, and I was just like, these are making business owners, entrepreneurs seem like we're horrible, horrible people. And I want my kids to go be entrepreneurs, and it's like, but their whole life they hear just patterns of just like, if I do that, I'm gonna be bad, and like all these things start happening, right? And so those things are programmed in our head over and over and over again. Now what's interesting is our subconscious mind, it speaks in stories. And so what happens is we go and we have this idea, like I wanna hit this goal. And then there's subconscious story that's already happening. 7 seconds before you hit the goal, the subconscious story is happening, and your subconscious is delivering it to you. And even if you're consciously thinking you're gonna go this way, you're gonna slip back into the rut that's already been built in and it's been planned. Does that make sense? Okay. I got one more Earl Nightingale clip I'm gonna show you that talks about the subconscious mind, and I'm about to show you guys how this all ties back into one of many presentations, I promise. But hopefully this is helpful on 2 different levels, because we understand it's our subconscious is keeping us back, and if we become aware of what those things are, then we can fix them. But the question is like, well, if I'm subconsciously doing these things all day long, how do I fix that? And that's what Earl talks about next in this last session here from The Strangest Secrets. Check this out.
Now, how does it work? Why do we become what we think about? Well, I'll tell you how it works as far as we know. Now, to do this, I want to tell you about a situation that parallels the human mind. Suppose a farmer has some land, and it's good fertile land. Now, the land gives the farmer a choice. He may plant in that land whatever he chooses. The land doesn't care. It's up to the farmer to make the decision. Now, remember, we're comparing the human mind with the land because the mind, like the land, doesn't care what you plant in it. It will return what you plant, but it doesn't care what you plant. Now let's say that the farmer has 2 seeds in his hand. One is a seed of corn, the other is nightshade, a deadly poison. He digs 2 little holes in the earth and he plants both seeds, one corn, the other nightshade. He covers up the holes, waters and takes care of the land, and what will happen? Invariably the land will return what's planted. As it's written in the Bible, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Now remember, the land doesn't care. It'll return poison in just as wonderful abundance as it will corn. So up come the 2 plants, one corn, one poison. Now, the human mind is far more fertile, far more incredible and mysterious than the land, but it works the same way. It doesn't care what we plant. Success, failure. A concrete, worthwhile goal, or confusion. Misunderstanding, fear, anxiety, and so on. But what we plant, it must return to us. You see, the human mind is the last great unexplored continent on Earth. It contains riches beyond our wildest dreams. It will return anything we want to plant.
Okay. That's how our subconscious mind works. So whatever we're planting is what's going to grow, right? And so one of the core things, and this is, I try to teach my kids this all the time, like the key we have to understand, we have to stand guard between what we allow our conscious minds, our conscious minds like stand like a guardian at our subconscious. That's why it's so scary when you're listening to music or watching movies or things that aren't good for you. You're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But it's literally rewriting your subconscious beliefs over and over and over again, right? So our job is consciously to protect our subconscious mind from what we're allowing to enter it. Okay, so we've got a couple things here, right? We've got our conscious mind, our monkeys, our subconscious mind, the elephants. One last thing we're talking about, and I promise, I saw some of the comments, and I'm like, how does this have to do with selling? I promise you guys, we're almost there, okay? The last one here is the primitive mind, okay? And in my analogy, the primitive mind is represented by this angry little lizard, okay? This lizard represents the primitive mind, which is fear, okay? Now, a couple things. When you are born as a human being, do you know that humans are only born with 2 fears? Okay, the first fear is fear of falling. The second one is the fear of loud noises. That's it. It's the only 2 fears you are programmed with at birth. Okay, everything else is learned, right? So, for example, your mom, when you're a little kid, sees a spider and freaks out and screams, and all of a sudden you're like, ah, and you scream too, and all of a sudden, like, spiders are scary, and then boom, you learn that fear, and the next fear, right? But you're only born with those 2 fears. Now, what's nice about modern life that we live in today, most of those fears aren't real, and we don't have to worry about them, okay? Those are all the fears of the body. The second are the fears of the ego, okay? And these are key. Tony Robbins says that of all the fears that we have, it all boils down to just 2 core fears. One fear is that you are not enough, and the second fear is if you're not enough, then you're not going to feel loved, okay? That's it. And so every single person's got this in the back of their head, this lizard who's always telling you, like, don't try that thing. You're going to fail at it, okay? And what's interesting, if you look at the lizard, he always speaks in absolutes. Okay, conscious mind is asking questions. Should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? Fear is always talking absolutes. You're not brave enough. You're not worthy of that. You can't do that. There's no way you should be able to do that, okay? So when you hear that voice in your head, you have to understand that's not the thing that's driving you. It's fear that's trying to hold you back. It's trying to protect you, but the reality is it's the worst of the 3, okay? So you look at that. These are how these 3 things work together, okay? Our primitive mind speaks in absolutes, conscious mind speaks in questions, and subconscious mind speaks in stories, okay? Now, from the personal development side of this presentation, you have to understand that like what your goal is to first off calm the lizard. If you want to be successful in anything in life, you have to calm the lizard, okay? And then you have to learn how to program the elephant to move where you actually want to go, and that way the monkeys can get where they're trying to get to, okay? And that's the secret formula for success in life, if you want to know it. Like that's, for me, what it boils down to is that. Okay, now I talked about the first part for 2 different reasons, right? Number 1, hopefully it's helpful for you guys to understand yourselves, but number 2, this is the key to one-to-many selling, okay? And so it's the way that all these three things work together. This is how we do one-to-many selling, okay? What's gonna be happening is you're gonna be speaking at people, okay? You're doing a presentation, and the difference between one-on-one, where I have a chance to talk to you one-on-one and be like, what's your question? What do you have about this? And they can tell me the question, and I can change my presentation based on it. You can't do that one-on-many, especially as you get past 2 people, 5 people, 10, 100, 1,000. I don't have the ability to talk about every single person's false beliefs and their fears and all that kind of stuff, right? And so what I have to do is I'm gonna be speaking to people consciously, okay? I'm gonna have a conscious conversation with people, but the way that I'm selling them is I'm actually bypassing the subconscious, and I'm going directly here, and I'm having a conversation with their subconscious mind, okay? The subconscious mind is the thing that actually matters. It's the thing that gets them to actually go buy the thing that you're trying to sell them. It's the thing that after they bought it actually gets them to have success with it afterwards, is the reprogramming of the subconscious mind. And that happens during the presentation, okay? And also you try to show off fear. But that's kind of the core, and that's the key, okay? So I'm gonna go back to the subconscious mind, because this is the most important part. The subconscious mind speaks in stories, okay? And so every single time you approach somebody, you say something to somebody, instantly there's a story subconsciously popping up. 7 seconds before you're even done, it's already popped up, and they're feeling something right out of the gate, okay? So the paradigm shift, second paradigm shift I want you guys to have today is that you can't sell anyone something if their subconscious mind disagrees with you, okay? And so this is what happens traditionally, okay? I call these chains of false beliefs. So every single person you talk to has a whole bunch of false beliefs about the thing you're trying to sell them anyway, right? You guys know this. How many of you guys have ever talked to a prospect and they have some kind of false belief that's holding them back? Okay, everybody. If you don't, it means you haven't talked to somebody yet, right? So everyone has chains of false beliefs. They have a whole bunch of false beliefs. Now, why do they have those false beliefs? Okay, it's because something happened in their life. Some experience happened, right? They got hit in the face, something happened, and so because of that, they have this false belief about the thing. Okay? And so because they had that experience, the next step is they actually made a story. They have a story. So for example, it could be anything. Like if somebody wanted, let's say you wanted to sell me something, right? Well, I'm gonna show you an example in a second. I'm not gonna go there yet. Okay, so there's a chain of false belief. That chain of false belief is based on experience they went through. Because of that, they have a story. And every time someone approaches them with any kind of offer, opportunity, anything you're telling them about, instantly that story pops to the forefront. Okay, and that story is gonna dictate and drive whether they have success with you or not. And so most of you guys are trying to come back and consciously convince them of why they should buy with you, why they should sign up, and all sorts of stuff, where the reality is that's not the key. What you have to do is you have to figure out, what is your story? And I call this an epiphany bridge story. I'll explain that here in a minute. But what story do you have that trumps their story? That is the secret. That is the key, okay? So for example, I'm gonna give you guys an example. You guys know Jim and Pam Halbert? Okay, these guys, they have a false belief about your industry. You guys know what it is? Yeah? What's their false belief they have about your industry? I'm gonna show some clips. I'm gonna tease the industry a little bit. Hopefully it's just in jest, because I'm gonna solve the problem afterwards. I hope you guys are okay with that. You guys promise you won't get offended if I tease a little bit? Okay, all right. Okay, so Jim and Pam Halbert, they got approached by their friend Michael Scott to join a network marketing program. Okay, now instantly they already had an internal false belief about what network marketing is, right? Right out of the gate. And so here's a clip from The Office and when this whole experience happens, so you can see it happening in real time. So check. So watch as Michael Scott's speaking consciously to them on a great opportunity, and then watch what happens subconsciously for Jim that makes him say no almost instantly. Check this out. You can give him a round of applause. That's worth it. Okay. Okay, so you saw it, right? Michael Scott's doing a one-minute presentation. Got a bunch of people in the room. Makes the presentation consciously to their conscious minds. Okay, what were all the false beliefs that popped up? I wrote down like 4 or 5. Get rich quick was one of the false beliefs. Okay, what else? Pyramid scheme, scam. Who's his calling cards anyway, right? Something about the product. So from that, there's 4 or 5 false beliefs that instantly popped up subconsciously. Now, what's something they thought through, like, I'm listening to the conversation, I'm gonna think about it, right? What happened is they consciously heard it, and instantly, the story that was already figured out popped up, right? 7 seconds before Michael Scott was even done, that story popped up, and they're like, wait a minute, who uses calling cards anyway? Like, those things are popping up instantly, okay? How many of you guys have ever seen that happening to your prospects as you talk to them in real time? Okay, and so then we come back and try to logically close them and sell them on this and change their opinion and why our product's better, why our company's better. And that's the worst thing you could possibly do of all time, especially in group one-to-many situations. So what do you do instead? So this is the pattern, okay? So I'm gonna walk you guys through this, how it works, okay? So the first step, so this is my buddy Devon. We're at an event speaking. He's one of my MCs. He was like, hey, Russell, I want you to join this program. I signed up for the program. I'm excited. He's like, hey, go talk to Jim and Pam. I'm like, sweet. I'm going to go sign up Jim and Pam. They'll be the first people in. It's going to be amazing. So I go over there, and this is the process, okay? Jim already has a preconceived notion and false beliefs. It could be about the product, the opportunity, a million different things, right? But he already has those false beliefs, okay? Now the question I have to ask myself is like, why does he have that false belief? What was the thing that happened to him in his past that gave him that subconscious hypnotic rhythm, that belief that keeps showing up every single time I try to talk to him or anybody talks to him? What is it, right? So we figure out what is the experience he went through. For this one, Michael Scott bombarded him, and that's why he's like, this is too much. If I do this, I'm gonna have to be like Michael Scott, and I don't want to deal with that. And so that's the experience he went through. So based on that experience, what's the story now inside of his head? The story is that every single one of these things is a pyramid scheme. That story becomes the thing, right? Now, anytime anybody ever comes to him and gives him anything, instantly, pyramid scheme pops up and he's out. There's no chance of ever selling him because his subconscious mind will not allow him to. Even if he signs up for a few minutes, maybe you convince him to buy, he's not gonna be a producer, he's not gonna be a leader, he's not gonna build, he's not gonna do anything, right? Because subconsciously he's like, he convinced me, but like, I'm not part, I don't feel good. I have this weird feeling, I just don't like it, and I'm out. Okay, so how do you win? Every single time I give a one-to-many presentation, I sit down ahead of time and I write down every single one of the false beliefs that I think my audience might have. I list them out as many as I can. And I think that what is the experience that they went through that gave them that false belief? I'm like, okay, based on what's the story they have. And I'm like, why don't I believe that? There's a reason why I don't believe that. Why don't I believe it? What was the reason, the thing that happened to me so I don't have the same false belief that Jim has or whoever it is that has, right? Every one of you guys who are in the room or at home, like you have a different experience than Jim. Why? What happened in your life that gave you a different experience? You have your own story, okay? I call that story an epiphany bridge story. So for me, I told you guys I've been network marketing for a long time. I love network marketing. But after I got into it the very first time, my friend signed me up and he's like, hey, let's call your friends and family together. I'm like, what? Even to this day, I'm a grown man, and my number one fear in this world is picking up the phone. I cannot do phone calls. Ask anybody. Eric's never called me, ever. He can text me, he can voice message me. I don't pick up the phone for anyone but my wife. Phones is still my number one fear to this day. And so my friend's like, hey, we're gonna call some people. I'm like, what? That is not gonna happen. And it's like, well, let's do a party at your house and you bring people. I'm like, you want me to bring people and then I'm gonna talk to them? Like face to face. And I was out, right? And so for a couple years, I was like, I'm not into network marketing. And then one of my friends came up at one time and he was having a ton of success. And he's like, did you realize, I asked him what he was doing, and he's like, network marketing. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't do that. And he's like, why not? I'm like, well, phone. I don't do that. I don't do phones. That's not a thing that Russell does. And he's like, oh, neither do I. I'm like, well, how do you do it? He's like, oh, I just put up a page on the internet that says, if you're interested in learning how to make money from home, give me your information, I'll call you. And then I buy ads, and then people fill out the form, and then I call them on the phone. And they asked me to call them, and so then I just sign them up. I was like, but you don't talk to your friends, your family? I said, no, I just do a form like that. And he's like, oh, and this other guy doesn't even like getting on the phone, so he just has a video. So someone opts in, and the video just does the pitch, and there's a button to sign up, and then he just does that. I'm like, what? Are you serious? Are you saying I could have the dream of network marketing without me doing the thing I'm scared to death of, the thing that gives me the most fear in this world? Like, yeah. It's like, let's try it out. And so I set up a little page, put up a video, I drove some ads, and a couple years ago, I was actually the number one money earner in a company, and I won a Ferrari. So there you go. Now, I go back to Jim. I'm like, Jim, I understand that you are scared to death of these things because you don't want to be a pyramid scheme, your friends or family, but let me tell you my story. And then I tell him my story. And if my story trumps his story, it becomes his story. The false belief that's subconsciously in here disappears. It's no longer there. And my story replaces his story. A couple things will happen. Now he'll be willing to buy, but number two, he's more willing to work the company, do the things, build the teams, all kind of stuff, because that false belief is gone, okay? That is the big secret, okay? Of me doing this for the last 20 years, me setting world records for the most sales in the least amount of time, like that's all I'm doing. People go to my events where and I'm not selling you guys anything today, so I'm not doing a structured presentation, but if you ever have a chance to see me sell, you're gonna be like, man, Russell's told his stories for 90 minutes, I don't really understand it. And then you're like, I gotta go buy this thing now. And you run the back and you buy. And you're like, why did I buy that thing? I was like, oh, because I know exactly what your false beliefs were. I spent the last 60 minutes with you, telling you stories that took the false beliefs, holding back. I rewrote it with the new false belief. It became your false belief. And by the time I asked you to buy something, you're like, sure, that's easy, I'm in. That's kind of the game, okay? I've got two more things. How are we doing? I have no idea how I'm doing on time. Okay, I got two more things I want to share with you guys, and then I'm actually going to jump. No, I'll start here. Okay. So the key is again is understanding that that the people you were talking to they have these stories in their subconscious mind that are holding them back. That is the big secret. Okay. So the first thing I do, like I said, I go through, I list out what are the false beliefs somebody has, and I got to figure out what story do I have that trumps their story. And if I can figure that out, that's how you win the game. okay? So then how do you tell that story? This is where most people in network marketing struggle. There's a company I had a chance to do some consulting for back in the day called Prove It. Some of you guys probably heard of that company. And I remember I helped do some video scripting for some stuff when they launched the company back in the day. And the owner asked me if I would come and talk to the leaders one time. I'm like, sure, that'll be fun. And so I remember going to this event to go talk to the leaders. And I was in the lobby checking into the hotel room. And behind me, there were a bunch of people in the company. Some of them might have been in this room. I don't even know. But it was really interesting because I was checking into my hotel and I saw these people back there and they're all dressed in like workout clothes and they're jumping over and they start like talking to people in the lobby. And I'm like, this is crazy. And they grab one person and they're like, hey, what is your body burning on? Is it glucose or ketones? And the person's like, what are you talking about? And they kind of run away. And the next person, they jump out and they're like, hey, what is your, and they were like saying all these like big things, talking about the product and about the opportunity in the company. I'm just watching this and I'm watching the people they're talking to scatter in the lobby. And I'm like, this is crazy. So then I go to check in my hotel room, I come back down to go speak at the event, and I get there. And long story short, I was supposed to have a couple more hours to prepare ahead of time, and then I got there, and when I walked into the room, the owner of the company is like, Russell's here, everyone can put him a round of applause. And I was like, and I didn't realize he wanted me to speak right then. And so I'm coming in, it's a room like this, I come in, it's like 150 other leaders in the room, I step on stage, and he's like, yeah, you got an hour, thanks so much. And he walked off stage, and I was like, what am I gonna talk about? I had no idea. I look in the room and I see all the people that I'd seen in the lobby. And I was like, okay, how can I help them? And this is the very first time this framework popped in my head, and I shared it for the very first time. And I don't know if we get the Elmo up. It's my first time using one of these in like 10 years, so I'm kind of excited. Yeah, it's gonna work. Okay, so this is what happens. So what happens is this is you back when you were a normal person. How many of you guys remember when you were a normal person? You guys remember that part of your life? Okay, so you were a normal person, right? I remember as I'm drawing this out, I stopped and I started asking people. I was like, "Why did you get involved with this company?" And the person's like, "Well, I'm involved with this company because I took the product and increased my energy. I lost some weight. It was really good." I'm like, "Interesting." I was like, "Because in the hallway, that's not what you were telling people. You were talking about the logic behind beta-hydroxybutyrate salts and why you think it's better than blah blah blah." And I asked them, it's like, why are you in the company? And they told me their story. And someone told me their story. I was like, how interesting. I was like, this is what's happening, guys, okay? This is you. You're a normal person, okay? And for some reason, somebody came and explained this business or this product or whatever it was for you. Something happened, right? And they explained it to you, and you had this amazing emotional experience, right? You had this emotional experience that changed your life, and then what happened? So you had emotion, okay? And then because you had that emotional experience, you're like, this is amazing, I'm all in, I want to learn everything there is about it, right? And so then you went on this journey, okay? And I call this epiphany bridge. You have this big epiphany. You have this big epiphany, and you go on this journey, and in the journey, you're trying to figure out all the science behind why this thing works. You're studying the comp plans and this and that, all sorts of stuff, right? And then you come over here, and you become a different person, okay? And I'll draw glasses on this person because they're smart, okay? Because now you are smart, you are educated, you know everything, okay? And now you have all of this logic behind you. And so then what happens is you see the prospect coming out of the blue and you're so excited to them and you want them to know why this is the greatest thing in the world. So you jump on them. The first thing you do is you spew out all of the logic about the science and the math and the comp plan and you spew all this stuff out. And what happens? I was like, they run away. I asked one of the ladies, I was like, I listened to your conversation. Why were you telling her about this when the reason why you got into this is because something like you lost weight, you changed your life, you have more energy, you're a better mom, better wife. Like, why are you telling about beta-hydroxybutyrate salts? It's like, well, she needs to know the science behind it. I'm like, no. Nobody buys based on logic. People buy things emotionally and they justify them logically, okay? Kim Claver wrote a book called If My Products Are Great, Why Does Nobody Buy It? You guys read that book? Amazing. And in there she says that people use, network marketers, they start doing what's called technobabble, right? Okay? Technobabble is the thing that's killing your sales, okay? Because technobabble, you're talking to someone's conscious mind. What you have to do is you have to go back and you have to forget all the logic behind everything and go back and what is the emotional experience that you experienced that got you bought into it? That is the secret, okay? So that's what an epiphany bridge is. So what I'm trying to do whenever I'm creating a presentation is like, what are all the false beliefs somebody has? And then from there, I got to figure out, okay, what's my epiphany bridge story that I can tell them, okay? Because if I can tell them my story and it rewrites their story, that's when the false beliefs break, and then they can move forward, okay? So that's what the epiphany bridge story is. Let's throw slides back up here. Okay, so that's how epiphany bridge story works. I got slides in the back. I throw them in here as well. There we go. Okay, So emotion, you have the big epiphany, you go figure out logically how to do it, you have technobabble, and the way it works is you have to kill the technobabble and figure things out. Okay. Oh, they're gonna kill me. I'm gonna go back one more time to the Elmo. Back to the Elmo one more time. Sorry. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you guys one last story, and this is gonna help you understand how we craft one of these one-to-many presentations, okay? So when I'm creating a presentation, the way I learned this is back when I got started in this business 20 years ago, the way that we made money was on teleseminars. How many of you guys remember teleseminars? Where everyone would dial in a phone number and you would talk and you'd sell something like that. And so that's how I started my business. Before Zoom, before GoToWebinar, it was before webinars, before video. I was doing this back when, the internet was way different. So we didn't have the ability to stream anything. And so what we do is we would promote a phone number, like, hey, Tuesday night at 7, everyone call this number, and then we're gonna tell you some story. And so people would sign up, and we do it. So what I would do every single week is I'd do a weekly call, I'd bring somebody else on, and then we talk about that person's product, and then at the end of it, I'd sell the product. And I did that for a couple months, had success with it, and this one guy messaged me, and he's like, hey, and he was selling a product, it was a $297 product, and it was a software that helped you make your own software. It was kind of a unique thing back in the day. And this is the way, this is the timeline of my presentations back then. So I would do a 60-minute presentation. The first 50 minutes was all about the interviewing the person, and the last 10 minutes then we would sell their product. And so he told me, he said, I've been doing these teleseminars with other people, but what happens is we get to the end and then people don't buy because they have all these false beliefs. And he's like, if you ask me these 3 specific questions during the content of the training, when they get to the end, we ask them for money, they won't say no. I was like, really? He said, yeah, try it out. He's like, and I can't remember the other 2 questions, but one of them was, he's like, a lot of people think that $297 is too much for the software that makes software. He's like, so somewhere here, like halfway through, if you can ask me this question, he said, just ask me, he said, hey, Mike, I've tried to create software in the past, and the cheapest software I've ever seen costs like $5,000 to $10,000. Most software can be more like $20,000 or $30,000 to build a software product. Why are you only selling this product for $297? He's like, ask me that question, I'll answer it, and then nobody's gonna ask the question then, like, that seems really expensive. So I'm like, okay, I'll try it out. So we jump on the call, I'm doing the call, we get to whatever the first one, I asked that question, he answered it. He asked this question, he answered it. This question, he answered it. And this was the biggest sales day I had in my entire life. People went and we sold, I can't remember the numbers, but we sold so much of the thing at a time. And it was crazy. And I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, when I'm doing this presentation, I'm crafting it where I'm figuring out like what are the false beliefs. The false belief that people had was that $297 was too much money. So instead, I answer that during the content of the presentation. I take that false belief, I rewrite it with a new false belief, and then when they get over here, that is gone, and then they're just willing to buy. So that's when I first started learning this. When I started doing one-to-many presentations, all it was I'd create a presentation, I'd go through like what are all the false beliefs somebody would have, okay? So for example, it would look like this. So here's the chains of false belief, right? So I'd be like, what are the false beliefs? Okay, they think it's a pyramid scheme. Number 2, they think that our product is something product-based. Number 3, they think that they don't want to talk to friends and family. Number 4, and I go through all the false beliefs they have, and I come back to, okay, what's the experience they went through? What's the story they have? And I figure out what those are. And then I come over here, I'm like, okay, what are the stories that I have that break their false belief? And I'm like, okay, the very first one, oh, I'm gonna tell my potato gun story. Oh, I'm gonna tell this story. Oh, I'm gonna tell this story. So I figure out all the stories I'm gonna tell, and I sit down to craft my presentation. I say, okay, how long do I have with you? I've got 60 minutes, I got 90 minutes, whatever it is. Okay, over here, I'm gonna ask you for money. I'm gonna come back here and say, okay, what are the false beliefs I gotta get rid of? Because they're not gonna buy until I get those false beliefs. That's the most important thing. Me talking about my product doesn't even really matter. Most of the people, when I set the world record, most people get in the back and they're like, I don't even know what a funnel is, but I know I need this to grow my business. That's the reality of what happened. So yes, I'm gonna tell stories about my business, my product, but that's the least important thing. The most important thing are the false beliefs that they currently have, and what's the story you have that beats their false belief. And I craft my presentation where I'm gonna tell that story, and 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 we get to the spot over here, and I ask them to buy, the false beliefs are gone. And so number 1, more of them will buy. But number 2 is after they bought, they don't have that false belief anymore. That fear is gone. So when I ask them like, hey, we need to recruit other people, hey, let's build a team, hey, let's do other things, they no longer have the false belief that's holding them back. So what I found for me and my students is not only did I make more money because more people were buying from me, the people who actually used the stuff I was selling them dramatically increased. We had way more success stories, way more happiness, way more growth, everything because the false beliefs were destroyed during the content part of the presentation, which got them, number 1, to buy, and number 2, got them to continue to do stuff. Now, in your world, that would be duplication. Now they can go out there, they can duplicate, they can do the same thing. They can then take the false beliefs and share them with other people, and so on and so forth. Okay? So that's how we do one-to-many presentations. Does that make sense? Okay. I think that's close. Let me pull the slides back up. I think I have one or two more slides. Okay. Yeah, this is the example. So this is the make your own software. Where basically, this is too expensive. I explained that during the content, and then when we got to the buying, that was no longer a false belief. Okay. All right, so if I had 2 more days with you guys, was just me and you all sitting in a room, you know what we would do? We would build an inventory of stories. I've literally just with people in my world. We sit down and spend a couple days doing this. We sit down and figure out, okay, what are all of the false beliefs that your customers have right now? We start going through the first thing, the second thing, the third thing. This may seem like kind of a nightmare, but this is the most valuable thing you could possibly do. Because next time I'm going to ask you a question, you're not going to try to logically convince their conscious mind. You're like, why are they actually saying this question? Oh, they got a false belief. Something happened to them. This is the story they're telling them. I got a story for that. Let me tell you my story. And so literally we sit down, they list out all the false beliefs, figure out what experiences they probably went through to experience, they gave them that false belief, what's the story they're currently telling themselves, and what story do you have? Now, the story doesn't have to be your own, okay? It can be. It's usually more powerful than this, but it could be a student, it could be your mentor, it could be your friend, it could be Eric Worre, it could be Tony Robbins, like it could be anybody. I use stories for people all the time, okay? So my mentor back then made me do the same process. And I sat there for a whole weekend. I wrote out 100 different false beliefs, and I found 100 different stories. And now when I do my presentations, when I'm trying to sell something, that's all it is. I'm coming back to the story database, like, okay, what are the false beliefs these guys are gonna have? Okay, when I spoke at the Grant Cardone's event, they were all salespeople. I was like, hey, what are the false beliefs a salesperson have about a funnel? Wrote them all down, wrote them down. Okay, why don't I believe that? What's the story I have? Rewrite it. Okay, craft a presentation now. I weave all the stories in, do the presentation, boom. And what happens then is you are talking to somebody's conscious mind, right? We're having a conscious conversation back and forth. But what you're actually doing is you're bypassing the conscious mind. You're speaking directly to subconscious, because this is the only thing that actually matters. This is whether they buy or not, whether they produce or not. Everything else happens here. And so by telling stories correctly, that's how you change things. That make sense? Okay. All right, I think I'm ending my time. I've just got one last thing, though, for you guys. I was in the back here when Eric did his offer earlier, which was insanely cool. And we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but I was like, I want to make sure you guys get this. I was like, can I give everyone a bonus here that I think would be worth at least the cost of this for free if they got this? And he was like, yeah, go for it. So I have an offer for you guys if you guys want it. How many of you guys want a free thing from me that's insanely cool? Okay, if the team could throw a slide up, I'll kind of explain real quick what it is. Basically, after I spoke at that event, I did $3.2 million in sales. Everyone was freaking out. They all want to know how I did it. And so I was like, I thought it would be fun just to break it all down. I'd never explained it to people before. So I sat down at my desk, and I opened up the me on stage at that event, and I clicked play and played it for like 10 seconds. I stopped, and I was like, hey, this is why I did that. And I pushed play, and I paused it. Okay, this is why I did that. And I just play, and I did it. I went through every single entire 90 minutes and walked. It took about 6 hours to go through the whole thing, but you saw every single thing, what I did, why I did it, the structure, and everything. So that's the first part of this 10X Secrets Mastery. I'll give you guys access to that so you can see how we structured the entire presentation, how we got the room set up, how we moved everyone around to get them to buy, to run in the back of the room. So all the psychology, the structure, and everything. Also in the 10X Secrets program is I have the slide decks that I use for my presentations. Every one of my presentations follows the exact same format. I call it the perfect webinar. It's structured, so it also has my slides in there, so you can take the slides and you just take my stuff out, put your stuff in, and you can just model in mine, take my stories out, plug your stories in. So that's all in there. There's a bunch of trainings for my students, people who sell lower ticket things, like my friend that sells soap. She does a 5-minute version of my presentation. It's all the scripts for how she does a 5-minute one. There's people who do 20-minute versions, 30-minute versions. So depending on the presentation you're giving 10-minute or 20-minute, 30-minute, or an hour, how to structure those, and a whole bunch of other cool things. We sell this, right? I have not sold this for about 2 or 3 years. When I used to sell, it was $2,997. But for any of you guys here who buy any of Eric's programs, I'll just give it to you guys for free. So that's my gift to you guys for being here, and I hope you guys love it. Other than that, thanks guys for letting me be here. I had a lot of fun, and it's awesome.